Okay, let us just get started right away. Now, before we actually continue with our door and stuff like that, we do need to assess one thing, and that is that in the Unreal to Steam video I made, like, there are some people that's having a problem, and that problem is easily fixed. I'm currently in 5.3. I decided to basically use my tutorial as a reference so that I could recreate the exact steps that you guys are recreating in the Steam tutorial, and it works just fine for me. One thing I have noticed is that some people inside of your plugins folder, you do not have subsystem enabled. So online subsystem needs to be enabled, and also online subsystem Steam needs to be enabled. That will make sure that the project will work just fine for you. And yeah, so I basically tested the tutorial, retraced the steps one to one, and it works just fine. So let us get started with this. So I have a basic setup here where I can create a game and join a game, and if you follow the Unreal to Steam tutorial, you will be at the exact point that I am currently, basically. I will leave a link to that in the description as well. So let us get started with this. The very first thing I need to address is that I'm in a third-person template, so I need to change some things in my third-person character. I want to interact with E and a line trace. I cannot do that with the current, well, I can, but I want to make sure that it's a first person. I'm just using the third person so that we have a reference of a body and stuff. It's just easier. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove my camera boom, and I'm going to attach my follow camera to my mesh. I'm going to rename this follow camera to FPS camera, and I can now socket this camera to the head. And then, as you can see, it's a bit wonky. We need to rotate it 90 degrees, and we need to move it into place. Like so. Now we have a first person camera. I'm going to set up use pawn control rotation on that camera, and I want to make sure that if I type in yaw, I think it is, I can use controller rotation yaw. If I now do a start here, we now have a first person character. So what we need to do is, as I said, have an interact event. So I'm going to make it a function. I'm going to call it interact. And when we interact, we're going to get our FPS camera. We're going to get the world location of the camera. So that would be here. That is the world location of the camera. I want to get the world rotation. Basically, oh shit, there we go. I want to get the world rotation, which basically is just which way are we currently facing. So the x-axis is the forward one, the red one. So we want to get the world rotation, and we got to get the forward vector, aka the red arrow that you just saw. We're going to multiply that by a distance. So that's a float. I'm going to do 500. So that is basically, this is where we are, that's the world location. This is where we're facing, and 500 is 500 units ahead of me. So that would be like 5 meters, because I think it is centimeters in Unreal. That is not a float, that is a integer. Works fine with integer as well, I just want the float. I can get the world location and I can multiply it. And this is basically what we said before. It starts here, ends there. That is what this does. We can now do a line trace by channel. And you can see that we have a start and an end here. Where do we start? Well, as I said, we want to start at the world location of the camera. And we want to end at the calculation that we made. I'm going to do a persistent debug on this, just so we can see the line come out. I'm going to break my out hit result. And now we need to make a interface. So let's go into our content drawer. And here I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it BPIs. And in BPIs, I'm going to make a new right-click blueprint interface. I'm going to call it BPI underscore interact. The function, as you can see up here, is going to be interact. And I'm going to have an input so I can have a reference to my third-person character when I do this. So the variable type is going to be third-person character, and I'm going to call it player ref. We can compile that, and we can save and go out of it. And now let us do out of the hit actor. We can do a DOS implement interface. into a branch, and basically it checks if the actor that we're hitting with our line trace has our interface, which is BPI underscore interact. If it does, we want to call that interact interface, like so. Our player ref is ourself, and that is it for that. Now let's head into our event graph and right click. I'm going to do keyboard E and just plug in our interact. Now if I play server browser, create game, now we have our interact over here, which comes from our, as you can see, from our that's a bit wonky, isn't it? It's not coming from the right location. Oh, we're multiplying this together. No, we need to add our world location to the multiplication, and that is our end result. Now if I play server browser, create game, now we have our perfect line trace. Beautiful. Now let us work with the door. So inside of my online tutorials systems folder, I'm going to make a, well, I'm going to go into my multiplayer and I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it blueprints. Inside of blueprints, I'm going to make a new folder, call it interactables. And inside interactables, now we're going to make our BP underscore door. Open that up. Now we added the sample content so that we could have our door frame and stuff. So let's go into our content drawer, search up door. I'm going to add door frame into the scene root, and I'm going to add the door into the door frame. It's a bit wonky, as you can see. Change down the snapping to 5, select the door, move it into the door frame first, and move it into the correct location. That is our door. Our door will have a function. So right click, custom event, call it open close. And then here we can add a flip-flop. That's a for each loop. Flip-flop. That's not a flip-flop. That's a flip-flop. We're gonna add timeline, and I'm gonna call it my open close door timeline. So if it's A, it's gonna play. If it's B, it's gonna reverse. I can double click my timeline, add a length of 1, add a float track. I'm going to call it my open close timeline float track. Inside of our float track, we want to set replicated to be true. We're going to right click and add 2 keys. So 0, 0 and 1, 1. Then we can head into our event graph again. We're going to get our SM door. We're going to set relative rotation on the update. Split this structure pin. Add a lerp out of our float track. Hold control to move it down to the alpha. And move it into the Z rotation, the yaw. Set B to be 90. So it's going to rotate 90 degrees. Get your begin play. Get your timeline. Set the play rate. Make a new float variable, call it time to open close. And you're going to add a division, so you're going to divide 1, which is the length of our timeline, by the time to open close. So I'm going to set that to 2 seconds. So it's going to take 2 seconds to go through this. So that is our open close event. Now if I, okay, we could test this, but I'm not going to do that. As I said, we have our interact BPI. We need to add that into our door. So let's go to our class settings and implemented interfaces. Set your BPI interact. So add it like so. Did it add it? It did add it. Beautiful. And now you can double click on your interact interface. So when we interact, we basically a replication event, at least our replication event, will be, it needs to be triggered from a player controller or a player control pawn. So inside of my player control pawn, I'm going to go into my event graph and I'm going to right click anywhere and I'm going to say custom event. I'm going to say open close door server. That did not type it at all. I'm going to say open close door server, and it will have a input of BP door. It's going to be door ref. So this one will be replicated on the server, and I will leave it as reliable. I want if someone opens the door, it's going to open it at the same time to everyone. It's not going to be bottleneck. If you have a lot of things happening at once in your project, you need to read more into reliable. It will basically make sure that this is going to be called no matter fuck what. So if there are more important things than opening a door that's happening in a game, then you want to have like a hierarchy, I guess, of things. Okay, right click anywhere you want, custom event. I'm going to call it open close door MS for multicast, because I want this to happen on everyone. I want all of these doors on every single client to open at once. I'm going to make this reliable as well. Again, read into reliable to make sure that it does what you want it to do. Add an input, call it door ref again. And I just want to now drag out from my server here, open close door MS, plug in the door ref. That needs a refresh. Plug in the door ref and open close MS. We're going to drag out from the door ref and we're going to say open close. So this, we can comment this out and say open close doors. That's basically what this entire event, this entire custom functions do. Okay, so when we interact, we want to get our player ref and we want to say open close door server. The door ref is ourself, and that should be it for that. Now let's go into our level 1 here. Into systems, multiplayer, blueprints, interactables, door. So now if I hit play and I go find that door and I interact with it, nothing's going to happen because we don't actually have a collision on our static mesh over here. So I'm going to go to my door. I'm going to open up the door here. I'm going to add a box collision and I'm just going to set it to, well, it's already on block all. If I now go into play, now we can open and we can close that door. If I now go into levels, main menu, L main menu, hit play, I can now go into server browser, create the game. If I now go here and create the game, that was completely wrong. New editor window, just so we can have it up here, and create game, and then go into the server browser, refresh this. So our server is on the right side here. Join that server. So our server, as I said, is on the right. Our server, as I said, is on the right side here. So if I now open, it will open and close on both clients. That is the server, though. That is the server, though. That is not the client itself. So if the client now does it, that also works. And that is a reliable open-close door for multiplayer. In the next video, we're going to finish up the door segment of this and add a achievement to our Steamworks project, and basically just make it so that when you open a door you get an achievement. It's just a way to demonstrate how you would add achievements into your Steam project. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. If you have any questions or anything, leave a comment down below or join the Discord, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.